Once you're past your 20s, your social circle is pretty much already established. So what happens when you travel or leave your circle? How do you make new friends? And is it even possible when you're this old? This was a very serious question for me when I decided back in 2014 to move from Virginia to Florida, a new state in which I knew exactly 0 people. Now there I was, I'm newly separated, I'm 1,000 miles away from anybody who knew my name, and I craved company. So I took a page out of a book of what to do when you want to find potential suitors in the 21st century. I went online. There is a site called meetup.com that does exactly what I wanted. Basically, folks create groups and they post events that the group is going to do. And so you find an event that meets your fancy and you go and attend. And if you like the group, you go more. It's just that easy. Now skip ahead to 2017. Nikki and I are heading out to Barcelona where, well, we knew exactly no one. So we did what worked for me back in Florida, and technically what worked to introduce the two of us. We again used meetup.com. Now, it's a little different over there. It feels more like a business generator. In Miami, groups are run by people for people. In Barcelona, it feels like they're run to drive folks to the bars and the restaurants, but the end result is really the same. So we went to our first BCN meetup shortly after we arrived, and somehow, on that first day, just made incredible friends immediately. There were several of us that first night from so many different cultures, and we found ourselves staying till the end of the event, and then just wandering around all throughout the city until the wee hours. And those people stayed our friends. It was just incredible. So you add a little pinch of opportunity to your life, and voila. I perhaps need to take a moment here and admit some things, since some of you were probably shaking your heads and saying, oh, how easy it is for someone like me to do that, but oh, you never could. I am what you might call a shy extrovert. I love meeting new people, usually. And when stressed, I like being around crowds of humans. I find it relaxes me. But I'm also very shy, and I'm more than a little hesitant to initiate first contact. It's a conundrum, to say the least. So I get it when introverts and other people like me say that it's so hard, especially in places far, far away from their comfort zone. But believe me, it's not only possible, it's actually quite easy. We also discovered another online group called Internations. Like Meetup, it's geared towards groups and events, but it has a slight twist. This is purposed towards the expat community. Now that doesn't mean you have to be an expat, not even close. We weren't, and we still enjoyed the experience. Again, you have groups within a specific city, and those groups host events. And for us, Internations felt more like what we were accustomed to back in Miami. Most of the activity was generated by people for people. And again, we went to events and we met some incredible folks. Now, Internations is a little different in that it's more than just groups. The entirety of the city that is represented also has its own umbrella group, and is complete with events and forums and all kinds of things. They have what are known as ambassadors, and they help people new to the city to sort of ease into life there. So it's not just a way to make friends, it's a way to make a life. And so when we return to Barcelona in May, I'm actually planning on becoming an ambassador. I want to help others, especially as I have been helped. Nikki and I were in Cologne, Germany, only for 10 days. It was the end of that European trip. And on our very, very last day, we decided to go to a hippie party. And there we unexpectedly made some new and wonderful friends, and we did it the old school way. Now, this place is crowded. We arrived early, which was very unusual for a Cuban. We had staked out this large circular chaise lounge, and much later there were these two German sisters just wandering around. They were looking for a place to sit. No success. So they asked if they could perch on the end of our lounge. Well, it didn't take a whole lot of time before they and we just took the whole thing up together, and we're chatting like old pals. Anyway, somehow that meeting turned into us hopping into their car, driving an hour to their town of Dusseldorf, and spending most of the evening with them. Now remember, I did say this was our last day in Europe, and the next morning we're going to be flying back to the States. But still, that friendship became permanent, and we were able to stay connected with both of them, both in person and online. Now, Nikki and I both consider them to be true friends, and all because they needed a spot to perch, and we never say no to opportunity. As I've alluded to often, languages can feel like barriers, but they don't have to be. I've been to meetups where I found myself laughing at jokes being told by the group and suddenly noticing I had no idea what language was being spoken. I knew it wasn't one that I knew, and I was still involved in laughing. Not knowing the vocabulary of a language is not a wall, because we also speak with our bodies and our mannerisms. And people don't shun others just because they can't use common syntax and words. Most folks just try whatever else is at hand to make communication possible. Please never think that language is something to stop you from making new friends. Sometimes it's the very thing that brings you together. There are so many ways to become part of a community. Volunteerism is a great way, for instance. Online groups like Meetup and Internation are others, and just chatting with strangers when you have the opportunity. I think personally that the most important aspect is to just go with the flow. I never expect to go somewhere and find a new BFF. I just want to make company and have conversations and enjoy the moment. Sometimes we find absolutely nothing. Most times we find an enjoyable evening. And every now and again, we discover people who become lasting friends. So yes, not only is it possible, it's actually inevitable. As long as you get the hell out of your own way and let it happen. So there you go. Friendships when you're away from your friendships. It doesn't matter your age, your location, your language, your introversion versus extroversion. It really doesn't matter. The whole point of this is, yeah, you can make friends in your 50s. You can make friends when you're out of the country. You can make friends when you're away from your friends. It doesn't matter as long as you allow opportunities to not pass you by. Which wraps up another episode of this MasterClass, as it were. I do want to also invite you, if you're ever anywhere near where we are, come on by. We like to talk. We'll make it easy for you. And as always, be a pirate and go wander.